Hi, my name is Lucy Lowes-Paget, and I want to tell you the story of a women's gathering and offer an invitation to you to come and join. Some years ago, during COVID, I knew that in order to teach, I needed to do that online. But I was really reticent to do that because I thought that teaching online meant lack of connection. And so it took me a while, but finally I offered a class. And with much trepidation, I remember so clearly the anxiety I felt going in to start the meeting on Zoom and then beginning. What transpired was something I would never have expected. What transpired was actually more connection, more real, genuine communication, and more of a sense of a cohesive, wise group than I had actually ever experienced in the classes that I had taught before. And the reason that this happened was because in the online gathering, I had, as you do on Zoom, the little pictures of everyone, and the check-in was something that I had never done in a yoga class, one by one, going through the room, finding out how people were. But in the environment of an online gathering, a check-in to see how people are, and then also a checkout, was something that really, really woke up a new sense of connection. And this, going forwards, has transformed the group dynamic of what I teach to something so beautiful that when people say to me, "Oh no, Lucy, I don't want to come to your online class. When are you going to teach in person, please? I just want to come to that class." And I say to them, "Well, maybe at some point I will, but this class, please do not be mistaken like I was, thinking that an online class is something that lacks presence. It is absolutely the opposite." And me and the group of women who have been doing this class have deepened into a relationship in a way that has been supportive and inspiring and nourishing on a weekly basis. Here's what happens. We arrive in class and I ask the question, "How are you?" And I ask that question for two reasons. I'm obviously genuinely interested how people are. However, there is actually a more important reason. The more important reason is that this is a medicine gathering. This is a medicine class, and medicine is a word that I'm very loosely using to describe something that is good for us, so cultivating a health practice. So knowing how people are then enables me to create the class. It's like I have a cauldron, and as people say how they are, I put in my cauldron what I hear and also what I see from the expressions that they're using. And then we go to the next person and the next person, and I keep class very small because I don't want the class to become about conversation. You've probably heard the word somatic therapy, embodied movement. Those fancy words to me are these big words that describe something very, very beautiful. But the bigness of those words often gets in the way of the actual feeling, because to come into the wisdom of your body, which is what those words describe, happens through movement. Perhaps you've experienced it when you go for a walk, when you go for a run, when you go for a workout, when you go do a yoga practice, when you go for a swim, that feeling of things starting to settle into place. So that's one way in which movement really, really nourishes us and can be therapy in and of itself just through the doing of it. It's just so important. However, we can up that. We can actually make it even more potent when we really start to inquire in what am I needing? And then we come into relation with our sensations, which give us a fuzzy sense that we can try and put words to, but it's very hard to put words to. So at the beginning of class, when I ask people how they are, I know that they probably don't have exactly the words for how they are, because most of the time we don't really know how we are. We have to come into knowing. And there's an interesting thing in science. The word scientia, is to come into knowing. That's what it means. It is never a finite thing. It is never an ending. So with the movement practice that I teach, with the health women's gathering that I teach, it is about coming into relationship with yourself to know how you are. And it is doing that in connection with others, which bolsters, because we always need deep connection, and we always need deep nourishment of our being, which we get through connection, but we also get in alone time, or quiet time, where we're inquiring quietly into how we are. So we get both of those things in the practice. As I've said, I keep the class really small because it's important that the sharing doesn't become the whole of the class, which is so easy as you get into conversation. So I have to be a little bit of I have to put my teacherly hat on, and I have to say, okay, all right, good, great, now let's do the next thing. And the next thing then is doing some movements where we come into knowing how we are. And then we work through our bodies with a variety of yoga stretches, with some shaking, with some joint movements to help circulation. And this is not a workout. My class is absolutely not a workout. It is a work in. It is movements that are gentle and balancing. And when I say balancing, I have the feeling inside of me of what the class is, which obviously you don't as you're listening to this, and I appreciate you listening this far. It is the feeling of that all is well. All is well. It is the feeling of safety. It is the feeling of support. It is the feeling of the places in you that are gripped, ready for the next thing that startles you, the next person who asks you a question, the next person who interrupts you, the next person. We all carry all of these tensions in our body in places where in class we have to, and it is so important, we do have to shed some of those things, or come into awareness that this is my habit. Oh, my habit is to tense up through my shoulders and chest. Oh, my habit is to grip in my stomach. Oh, my habit is to clench in my thighs and my calves. And the surprises that happen in class is the connection, the reconnection, the relationship to places that you know about and places that you don't know about. And then we work around those things and to release those things where possible. And it is a weekly practice that I teach where you have an opportunity to join at the beginning of a program. Typically it's 8-week blocks. Sometimes it's shorter week blocks, just depending on what the season offers. But I don't let people jump in the middle, because the coherence of the group and the coming to know of each other as well is something that is very, very tender and very nourishing. And my students say to me, when I say, it would be great to have more people, and I will not let class get too big. I will just open up another class. And they say, oh, I don't know if we want to share it. This is so special, our group. And I'm like, yeah, but the joy and the surprise of coming to know other good people is one of the things that, for me, I thank the world for coming to know new people who are kindred spirits. So if this feels like a call, please reach out and I can send you a class so that you can have an experience of what it's like, and then you can come and join the small group where we do such good work week by week. It's like, I had this image once of sitting around a table with a group of women knitting, and it was an image that came in a dream, and an image that I used to go to a knitting circle as well, but the warmth of sitting around a table with a pot of tea and the comfort of settling back into the cozy cushion and yet to be creating, the class has that quality to it. It has got that really lovely gathering quality to it where you think, oh, thank goodness I'm here. Thank goodness for this class. So please join and know that it is also some nourishing movement. The practice, the heart of the class is, well, we could say there's two hearts. One is the gathering, and one then is the work that you get to do to come into relationship with the things that need to be worked out in your body so that you feel well and capable and energized and clear. I look forward to being in connection.